The following may contain offensive language, adult humor, and or content that some viewers may find offensive. The views and opinions expressed by any one speaker does not explicitly or necessarily reflect or represent those of Mark Radulich or W2M Network. Please listen with caution, or don't listen at all.
TV party tonight! What? TV party tonight!
Oh, we got nothing better to do than watch TV and have a couple of brews.
Don't want to talk about anything else.
We don't want to know.
We're dedicated, yes.
To our favorite shows.
Oh, my circuits!
Everybody loves Hypnotoad.
Scary dog!
Pearson and Blurnsville.
Futurama!
Hello, good evening, and welcome to TV Party Tonight. I'm your host, Alexis Hejna. Joining me, well, it says Eric Frankenstein, but I think most of us know him by Mr. Jayson Teasley. Hello there, how are you?
Doing good, doing good. Glad to be a part of this. So ready to get into this little whimsical adventure that we've got planned this evening.
Whimsy is right. We are going to take a look at what is officially the first entry into the new DCEU created by James Gunn. This is the first chapter of the saga that he is calling Gods and Monsters. And it's not starting off with a big bang like Superman. It is starting off with Creature Commandos. This is a show that apparently Gunn wanted to do for ages. He had pitched it to DC long before he got the promotion to be in charge of all their film and television projects. So this is something he's had cooking for a while. So this is an interesting look. Creature Commandos, brought to you by Troll Court Entertainment, the Saffron Company, I guess, Lore Studios, DC Studios, and Warner Brothers Entertainment, aired on HBO Max, and concerns a slightly lesser-known comic series about a group of, well, let's go ahead and call them monsters who are tasked with saving the world. This is kind of similar to the Suicide Squad, although, as Amanda Waller says, these ain't human.
Yeah, and when you pitched this to me, I was not familiar with Creature Commandos at all. So I did have to do a little bit catch up to kind of get the gist of everything going in. And basically, this is like the Suicide Squad turned up to 100 without the legalities of humans being involved.
Pretty much. Yes. Apparently, after the events of the first season of Peacemaker, in which Amanda Waller was outed by her daughter at the end of the season, she is no longer allowed to use human guinea pigs for Task Force X. So she's decided to get creative and is like, well, hey, these guys aren't human, so it doesn't count. Loophole! So we get a group consisting of the Bride, who's pretty much the Bride of Frankenstein, G.I. Robot, Weasel, Dr. Phosphorus, and Nina Mazursky, who is pretty much the creature from the Black Lagoon. You know, except much more polite and in a suit.
Yeah.
Who are tasked to go into a foreign nation and help save a princess who is being attacked by the evil sorceress Circe and her followers, the Sons of Themyscira.
And we can't forget being led by Rick Flag Sr.
Rick Flag Sr. Okay, so this guy is the father of the Rick Flag that we saw die in James Gunn's earlier Suicide Squad movie. And I should add that it's been confirmed that Frank Grillo, who voices Rick Flag Sr., is going to show up in the Superman movie that's coming out later this summer. Although it was noted in the comments that he will not have gray hair in this. I guess Grillo is doing another show or movie at the same time, and the contract said he couldn't color his hair for that, so it's the Superman mouth thing all over again, except it's a whole lot easier to explain that Rick Flag Sr. decided to go get a hair club for men membership rather than, try to explain why Superman looks like he's got a CGI mouth.
Yeah, well, movies are fickle, and it's hard to please everybody in the movie industry, especially now. So when you have projects like this overlapping, you get into basically a pissing contest, what can and can't happen, and how you got to work around it.
Well, again, I think we're fine with just accepting that Rick Flag decided to go dye his hair and beard.
Yeah. You know, he updated his Tinder profile.
Yeah, well, after this, he's going to need to, considering his date with the princess.
That's what I was saying. He got that royal treatment, and now he knows how Tinder and everything works.
Is that what we're calling it now? The royal treatment?
Yeah, we'll call it the royal treatment.
Making a note. Okay, so
there's Mark's TikTok.
No kidding. Wait till you see the clip I'm getting from the Hell of a Boss review. Let's just say we discuss an interesting fact about obsidian and why you don't want to use it for certain beads. Okay. So it is kind of interesting, like I said, that this is what's kicking off the DCEU. So we have seen so many projects that have tried to kick off shared universes, and they always try to go really big. I mean, you think about with Marvel kicking off with Iron Man, and so many of them tried to, I mean, I would say arguably the previous DCEU they tried to kick it off was with Man of Steel.
Yeah. Well, even outside of this, you know, we'll talk about, you know, something that's near and dear to our heart is horror movies.
Mm-hmm.
When Warner Brothers tried to revamp and kick off the Dark Universe, and it failed with The Mummy. So, I mean, they tried to go.
Well, it failed with Tom Cruise.
Well, that entire movie was just trash.
Oh, tell me about it.
But yeah, I mean, you kind of try to get to the point, kind of make a tentpole movie and entry into the launch for your launching pad. This was something that was really unique, and I really enjoyed how he approached this.
Absolutely. Not to mention, I think the fact that this chapter, he is, James Gunn has said, this first wave of movies and TV shows is specifically called Gods and Monsters. And I think a show like this, and I am apologizing in advance for the cough. I have got some kind of a cold I'm trying to lose. I think a show like this really highlights that, especially how this is a short series. It's only 7 episodes, and most of the episodes show the backstories of our characters and the tragedies that they have gone through. And it comes down to, I know this is cliche as hell, but who's the monster? You have a scene with Nina, who, this poor girl, you know, was born with a defect. Her father tried to save her. She is not, up until this point in the series, she has not done anything violent aside from saving a prostitute from being beaten and raped. And even then, all she did was hit the guy with a beer bottle. She didn't actually do any of the killing. And this, you have that scene of the princess attacking her, and you see the look in the princess's eye, that those blue eyes practically glowing, and that hatred, and just that. It's like, again, who's really the monster here, Nina or the princess?
And you know, we'll launch off here, especially, you know, talk about some of the characters. Nina is basically your moral compass of this entire group. She's very, very soft-spoken, highly intelligent. Doesn't really see the bad in anyone, and that's shown when, you know, we see her backstory in the final episode. And these episodes are bite size. I think 23, 25 minutes was like, because I mean, I ran through these in like an afternoon. So I mean, it's really, really easy to watch. It's very streamlined, and like you say, we get a lot of backstory, but not over the top. You don't get force fed a lot of things. It's interwoven throughout the total overall arching episode. You're giving like little tidbits. You're giving the main backstory, but you're sprinkled in little stuff here and there. And like with Nina, like you said, she was a tragedy. Basically, she was born with birth defect. Her lungs was outside of her body.
Hmm.
Basically, I'm not going to try to even pronounce the medical term.
No
Uh,
idea.
but her father was an expert scientist in like genealogy and everything,
Hmm.
and he was trying to use amphibian crossfeed to try to help her. Of course, things go sideways, and she basically has to live inside water and become an amphibian. But and also you see the like you say, you don't we don't know who the real monsters are because as she gets older, he homeschools her. She's very intelligent. She's like speaks like 6 languages and stuff.
4 or 6,
And he's
something
like
like that. Yeah.
he was like, I want her to have the experience of among peers. So he gets her into a highly prestigious private school. She wants to play field hockey for whatever reason that that interests her, and she is basically bullied and picked on to the point where she runs away and she tells her father, "I understand." And all this on top of the fact that despite everything her father's done, her mother rejects her
Hmm.
and leaves her and abandons them, and because she can't stand to have a child who's unique, and that I mean that speaks on a lot of levels. That hits home on so many levels because the child is unique. It could go from anything to autism, learning disability, anything can be related to a child who's unique, and being rejected by the mother because they're not the quote unquote normal. They don't fit in the normal parameters of society. So Nina, to spare her father ridicule and heartache, she runs away, and it goes into this really big thing between her and the bride, where she's tasked to kill the princess, and she just can't do it. She's like, I don't know how. I just don't, because you can see she doesn't have malice in her body. Like
Exactly.
she can't hurt another living thing.
Yeah, everyone else at Belle Reve, Phosphorus, the bride, supposedly Weasel, we'll get to his backstory here in a minute, have all
Yeah.
committed crimes and they're in Belle Reve because they're criminals. Nina has not committed any crime. She is tasked with being part of this group, not because she's trying to earn her freedom or anything. It's literally, you're not human. Well, I was born human, don't care. We don't see you as human. She is shoved in this group, and no one looks at her like a human, even though she was born that way. She's not a criminal. She's not a freak. She's not a monster. She's
Well,
just
she gets
stuck with
framed.
this
Uh, you
identity.
know, and this ties into the Weasel thing. She's framed because she is she's photographed, and they create this urban legend of her, and they build up an urban legend of her that makes her this actual monster, and she gets apprehended, and that's when her father dies, and she sees that her father dies simply by letting her know that everything's okay and he holds nothing against her, and he gets shot in the back by a cop. Excuse me. And she witnesses this, and like she doesn't have anybody. She until she meets the bride, and we'll get into that relationship, I'm sure, as well.
Hmm.
And it's like when she dies, when the princess stabs her multiple times, and you see the callous in her eyes and the reaction of everyone on the team, especially the bride, because of the relationship. It's heartbreaking because you're like, this is the moral compass we've done. She didn't do anything wrong. She never had a bad thing to say. She was basically the almighty goodness of this, and she was just there, and she was put on the team because of her intelligence, because she was the most rational and strategic, because she knew everything, because she was such a loner, and that's all she did was to teach herself and be taught by her father. So she had this vast knowledge, and that kind of helped her, Amanda Waller, to lead her to this team. One, she was in here, but I think deep down Waller knew that she wasn't a bad person, but she also was going to exploit the knowledge that she had.
Very true. I mean, Amanda Waller has always shown she may want what's right for the country, but she is truly heartless. And every incarnation we have seen of her has shown she truly believes that she is doing the right thing, and she will sacrifice anyone or anything in the name of serving her country. She has no qualms about anyone else dying, getting hurt, getting thrown in jail, getting framed, whatever.
Everybody is expendable to her. And that's what makes her such a good antagonist in a non-traditional form, because she does everything by any means necessary. It's to get a task done. I don't care who we lose, what happens, and as long as the job gets done. And we've seen that in Suicide Squad, both of them actually.
Mhm.
The very first one being the lesser of the two, but you see it more there because they're tasked to break her out, not anyone else. She's doing it for self-preservation. The second one, she sacrifices the whole team except Weasel because Weasel can't swim. But yeah, it was we're letting people be expendable. This first wave of people is going to be expendable, so we can get the real Suicide Squad in.
Mhm.
The first wave was actually a suicide. They was on a suicide mission.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
second wave was
It's like, I
to
wonder how many people
achieve the
realize
mission.
I wonder how many people realize she had fully intended to kill off Harley freaking Quinn in that second
Yeah.
movie. It was just like, yep, Harley's dying, Captain Boomerang dead, Weasel dead. Hell, I figured she didn't even care if Rick Flag Jr. died or not, since he was the one leading them.
Yeah, it's she's the purpose above anything. As
Mhm.
long as the job gets done, I don't care who I step on, whose feelings gets hurt, who dies. As long as the goal is achieved.
Exactly. And credit to Viola Davis, who has played the role in several movies, or in both movies, and she does the voice here on the show, and she carries that authority.
Was
I've
it?
seen her in so many other movies. She's such a good actress, and again, I just love that very de facto "don't mess with me" voice that she
Yeah,
gets.
yeah. She has that. She has a presence,
Mhm.
and I think that's something we don't get to experience now. Um, is the fact that there's certain characters and certain actors and actresses that fit certain roles. I'm trying to see if she was actually Amanda Waller in Peacemaker too.
She was.
Yeah, I was thinking she was. So she's basically portrayed her across all live action as well as animated.
Mhm.
So that's when you get good casting like that, and to where it's portrayed across the board, you know that you got the casting right.
The only other person who's played Amanda Waller, and I think has done a really great job, is in the Bruce Timmiverse. Amanda Waller was voiced by CCH Pounder, who again
Mhm.
has that really strong command. She has a very strong commanding voice that can show a bit of a soft side. There's an episode of that Justice League animated series where it takes place in the future, and she's talking to Terry McGinnis, the new Batman, and she's elderly and she has to take all these pills, and she's just clearly, not willing to put up a fight, and she still has, I know what I'm doing, but there's a softness to it now, and I love how she portrays that. And again, when I think of Viola Davis, I the first movie that actually comes to mind with her is The Help, which
I've
I thought
never
she was,
seen it.
such a good movie, and she was phenomenal in it. So yeah, hearing her just play this role, it's like, yeah, you hear her or you see her as Amanda Waller, and you know this is a woman you do not mess with. This is a woman who
Yeah.
will not hesitate to have you arrested, jailed, killed, tortured, whatever, if it means she's going to get the result she wants.
Oh yeah. and that's something we get through here. I mean, we can talk about some of the other characters like the bride. The bride is the pseudo leader.
Hmm.
It's really Rick Flag singer to start out with, and then we get the side story with how him and Amanda Waller kind of ending up on different sides of the spectrum on what the objective is. So they pretty much take Rick Flag Senior out and instill the bride as the leader. And the bride is a very interesting character. Very very female, strong, driven, and it has a lot of callbacks to the original Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein stories,
Hmm.
uh, especially when you see her backstory and how like why she was created. She was created, for quote unquote Eric Frankenstein, which is the monster. Frankenstein's monster. His name's they gave him the name Eric in the show,
Well, better than the
and
time they tried to name him Adam.
yeah, um,
I think that's a movie
and
we'd all like to forget happened.
and we'll get to talk to Eric about Eric Frankenstein, who's my favorite character in the show, soon.
David
But
Harbour kicks so much ass. I freaking love that man.
but you see that she was made basically she was made as a companion. She fell in love with Dr. Frankenstein. Eric gets jealous because he sees this, and they go on this, and she is a spurned lover because Eric kills Dr. Frankenstein out of jealousy
Hmm.
because the bride is his possession thing. Um, and they go through this, and it shows like a little mini montage of them going through the ages of, and you get some really funny clips of them going through the ages that he's pursuing her, and she's just beating the hell out of him, or like shooting him, or killing him, or like. And the '90s one was the best one, where they're in the punk rock club.
Okay, that is actually hilarious because once again, James Gunn flexes his knowledge of music. I seriously, let me put it this way: if everyone's mind is a computer, I just want to see how the hell James Gunn's got a spot in his brain for this encyclopedic knowledge of music, because that
Actually,
man pulls out soundtracks that are just unbelievable.
a lot of the music was from the same band
Gorgo
in this
Bard
series.
Gogo
Yes.
Bardello, and that's because we have American Wedding by Gogo Bardello playing during that chase scene, and it ends with them crashing a Gogo Bordello concert
Yeah.
mid that song. I mean that's I don't know if that's a fourth wall break or what it is, but that's just a surreal moment, and it kicks so much ass.
Yeah, and like I said, the bride is just this really she's a hard ass. And she has no empathy, no emotion until Nina. And we see that after the first mission. She basically talks Nina into going to the castle with her once they get over there, and they run into a series of unfortunate events,
Mm-hmm.
we'll say, and then they go back to Belfry, and you see that, and Nina's getting picked on, and the bride just kind of intervenes and rips another prisoner's jaw off, and just because they took Nina's food. And you just see that friendship kind of growing, even though you don't see it the full weight of it until we lose Nina in the last episode. And the you get the epilogue from the bride with spoiler alert when she kills the princess. She goes,
Mhm.
"I'm not doing this for anybody. I'm doing
I'm
it
not
because."
doing this because you're going to because you want to destroy the world. I'm doing this because you killed the only friend I've ever had.
Yeah, and she puts a bullet right through her head, and we'll talk about the the imagery as well that James Gunn did throughout this,
Hmm.
because it's very violent. But yeah, you see that, and you see the hardness, and then you see after that's done, you see that see her kind of soften, and then once she kills the princess, you see that wall go immediately back up,
Mm-hmm.
and you just see her being so cold and just kind of isolated, like, you know, I, I the two people that's got the closest to me, I've lost out of pure hatred and were murdered and taken from me. So this wall's up, and I'm just going to be focused, and it's kind of heart wrenching in a way, because you've seen the softness, you've seen her kind of giving into it, and then all of a sudden it's snatched away from her again, and you're like, damn, this is true tragedy. And like I said, it goes all the way back to who's the real monster.
Absolutely. So other than Nina and the Bride, we get a backstory for almost all of our main characters, and it's the Weasel's one that actually I think hit me the hardest, because this was a character we saw him in Gunn's Suicide Squad, pretty much for comic relief, because he just shows up at the beginning and they joke about how they think he's a werewolf, and then he jumps in the water, and you get Rick Flag Jr. going, "Did anyone check on whether Weasel could swim?" And I just love that sound in his voice, just like, "Oh, you've got to be kidding me. No one looked at this."
And it has a callback, because in the James Gunn Suicide Squad, they're talking about Weasel, and they bring up that, something that's brought up in this too, that he killed 27 children. And you're like, okay, but we get the backstory, where he was at a school playing with children. It's probably over a break or something. The children, they was playing fetch. Weasel accidentally is trying to retrieve a ball or something, and knocks open the door. The kids get in the school, and there's an old Willie groundskeeper, sees this, thinks that Weasel's trying to harm the children, breaks in, a fire ends up happening, and Weasel is trying to get the children to safety. But
from the eyes of the cops who show up,
the cops that show up, the cops show up, Weasel's trying to drag this little girl out, and they just see the flames gleaming off of an animal's eyes, just like it would.
And they see her in his jaws, not biting, not like, attacking, but like trying to carry her. So
and they take that, and they actually cause the little girl to die, because they tackle Weasel and incapacitate Weasel while this building is collapsing on this little girl. And it goes to show that, like, and it's something that it really, really stuck with me, is he's asleep, and I think it's Nina and the Bride are talking, and one of them says, "I wonder what he's thinking." It's like, oh, he's probably just dreaming something. So, and he's
like chasing squirrels. Yeah, because that's the title of that episode. It's like, it's probably, because how often do we see our dogs sleeping at night and they're going, oh, oh, oh. It's like, and we actually joke like, oh, he's chasing bunny rabbits or something like that.
Yeah, but he's actually reliving the nightmare of losing his friends. Those children, the only the people that actually showed any compassion toward him and didn't see him as a monster. And they were showing him love. They was playing with him, and he's actually reliving that through a nightmare. But outwardly, it's, oh, he's chasing squirrels, and that really hits home, because and it goes through like society today, and it's probably going to go way deeper than what anybody else ever said. But you never know what's going on in someone's head. You don't know what battles people are fighting, and you see that through Weasel, because Weasel is basically comic relief and everything, but yet he has such a tragedy that he's dealing with, and he can't communicate to anybody else of the tragedies that he's having to deal with to get the help that he needs.
Yeah, and it's so tragic also because he has a lawyer who's trying to stand up for him, but you pretty much might as well have walked over to my Labrador Retriever and asked if they plead innocent or guilty, because I don't think you're probably going to get the exact same reaction.
Yeah, and that's like, you know, and we'll talk about Dr. Phosphorus as well.
Oh, of course.
They say every villain has. Well, I'll make the Batman quote. The difference between a villain and a hero is one bad day.
Bad day.
And this is Dr. Phosphorus because he's a renowned scientist working on a cure for cancer, trying to get funding for human research and everything.
Makes
He
the
does.
mistake of
He
trusting
does
the
the
wrong
yeah.
person.
He does things that because he can't get funding anywhere else. He goes by nefarious means, and it kind of backfires, and his family gets killed. He gets pretty much framed for the murder and thrown into this thing that causes the radiation and turns him from a mild mannered scientist into this glowing skeleton of radiation, and which leads him down the path of a criminal crime boss. And we see that, and we get the little, you know, the little fluorescent skeleton goon crew doing the dance number.
To
And we actually
Gogo
get a
Bordello again.
yeah, and we actually get the cameo. We get the cameo of the silhouette of Batman,
That was awesome.
who exists in this universe, which, according to James Gunn, we don't know who's playing Batman.
You know who the rumors are calling for?
No.
Josh Brolin.
See, I think that would be a good casting if you did. I mean, it would. I still would rather see Michael Keaton in the role because of the continuity, but I think Josh Brolin would be a great Batman Beyond Bruce Wayne.
Mm-hmm.
I think that you get that and get a young upcoming actor there. But yeah, I mean, I think trying to portray Bruce Wayne as an older statesman, you would have to have you'd have to have it established where you could fast forward to make it a little bit more believable.
Well, they do. I think they are going to go for an older Batman. Okay, so we have Robert Pattinson who's playing in the Matt Reeves Batman universe, which is not going to be connected to the James Gunn DC universe, and that's fine because I really liked Matt Reeves Batman, and I'm excited for the sequel. Please do Court of Owls. I am begging you.
They're not going to do from everything I've read, they're not going to do Court of Owls yet.
That would be so good.
Well, they're going to set up for it. They're going to kind of slow play it for the third movie. This one is going to be, I think I've seen they're in talks with possibly Scarecrow or Clayface, Killer Croc.
Clayface is actually getting a solo movie.
Yeah, and that's why I said that's why I think they're wanting to do Clayface, because they can do Clayface with a solo standalone and just not have to do a backstory in a Batman movie. You could just kind of bridge them over.
I am really intrigued what they're going to do with this Clayface movie, considering that they want Alan Tudyk to come in. Mm-hmm. Alan Tudyk voices Clayface very briefly in Creature Commandos, but his damn, this cold. His lines are mostly admitted to her, ha, her, and Mortal Kombat. Sorry, that scene killed me. It was just like, wow, who twisted whose arm to get him to play that video game?
Well, it actually is in continuity because Mortal Kombat has a Mortal Kombat versus DC universe. So you have the crossover, and a lot of DC characters have appeared as DLC in Mortal Kombat. So you have that built-in connection. So I could see that not being too much of a stretch to shoehorn that in.
Okay, there is that. But yeah, apparently they want Alan Tudyk to play Clayface in the Matt Reeves movie. I am only okay with this if we actually get a backstory, and it's the oh my god, I am blanking on the act. Okay, so it's the version that we saw in the Batman the Animated Series.
Yes.
Because the one that Ron Perlman voiced.
Yes.
Matt Hagen, that's the character's name.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like if we get the Matt Hagen story arc with Alan Tudyk playing him, I am more than fine with that.
Which the animated series, I mean, it does so much right for as early on in the '90s it was, and a lot of people, still pull from that on a lot of characters. So yeah, I mean, hell, we got Harley Quinn from. That's where she originally got her start was,
Mhm.
and then they built an entire, basically franchise character around staple character around. Which was supposed to be just a one-off character in a couple of episodes of the animated series.
Yeah. And they were the ones who also redid Mr. Freeze's origin story.
Yeah, and made it more relatable.
More tragic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Credit to you, Paul Dini. You are a genius. So, but yeah, I was kind of, when I saw that they were doing this, I said, okay, there's only 2 actors who can play Clayface, Ron Perlman and Alan Tudyk. As long as one of those 2 is playing the role, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
So, but we got that. Like I said, yeah, I still really want the Court of Owls. But apparently, what they're going to do for Batman is it's the Brave and the Bold story arc with Damian Wayne. So we're going to get the story of an older, not like the Dark Knight Returns old, but an older Batman who is introduced to his son, Damian Wayne, who's been raised by the League of Assassins and Raj Al Ghul, and he's going to try to get his son to, cut it out with the brainwashing, as it were.
I think that if you did now this is going to be fan writing here, pitching. If you did basically the Brave and the Bold and combined it with Nightfall, where the famous story where Bane breaks Batman's back,
Mhm.
instead of Azrael coming in, it was Damian Wayne, and you had Damian Wayne playing that updated Batman that takes things way too far because of his training with the League of Assassins. I think that would be a great movie, or even 2 movies you could even do, because you would have to, you would have to rely on, doing some backstory with Damien and the League of Assassins, which I think Batman Begins did a great establishing of
yeah.
League of Assassins.
Mhm.
But your casual fan's not going to know that mythos and stuff, so you would have to spend some of the movie setting that up. So you would have to do that probably in a 2-part movie, where you leave on a cliffhanger of Batman getting his back broke, even if it's not by Bane. It can even be by the League of Assassins. Have Ra's al Ghul break Bruce, or no, not necessarily break his back, but hamper him to where he can't do it anymore.
Mhm.
And Damien kind of is a plant for the League of Assassins to take over the mantle.
That could be good. Question. So yeah, in the series we had Dr. Phosphorus, when he's still human, the person he mistakenly trusts is Rupert Thorne, who is well known to any Batman fan as one of the biggest crime bosses in Gotham. But we have Phosphorus taking him out. What do you think about the fact that going into this Gods and Monsters story, Rupert Thorne is already dead? Do you think they may have made a mistake killing him off early?
No, because you still got you can still go with the mob thing. You still got Falcone
Mhm.
that you can play off of, and there's another, I can't think of her. Trying to
Maroni.
think too quick. Yeah, Maroni. You still got the two major mob bosses still in play that you can play around with. But yeah, it was really interesting, especially how he done it. He killed the entire family.
Well, they killed his entire family.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's doing the total revenge thing of, you took my family, I'm taking yours.
I do freaking love him dancing, wearing pimp clothes, the
Yes.
purple with the leopard print. It's just like, okay. I'm not gonna lie. I really wish we could see that in live action, because I would have loved to have a scene of Alan Tudyk, even if he's wearing the mocap suit, dancing on the disco floor with the goons with the freaking Dr. Facilier style face paints.
Yeah, and
I just looked at him like, oh, my kingdom to have seen that done in live action.
it would have been very Jim Carrey mask-ish.
Mhm. But no, I did. So actually, that does bring an interesting question. Who do you think has the most tragic backstory out of our monsters?
Ooh, that is. I would have to say Weasel, simply because one, children involved. I mean, anything
Yeah.
to the fact that he can't communicate what's going on around him, and he's basically trapped in his own head. And he can't like I said, he can't express anything, and he's very misunderstood, and he's very childlike himself. So I would definitely have to go with Weasel.
I would say it's a tie for me between Weasel and Nina.
Yeah, Nina for being the outcast and everything. But yeah, I mean, of course, I guess as much as I hate people, the tragedy of kids still kind of gets to me. And I still think
absolutely.
kids are creepy. So
Yeah, I mean, especially since, again, that line in the Suicide Squad movie, what is that Rick Flag Jr. says? It's like, he's a weasel, he's harmless. I mean, he's not harmless, he's killed like 8 children, but we think he's agreed to. It was a gag line. It made me chuckle. But yeah, and then you find out he didn't actually kill them. It's like that little joke line about you thinking that this is a monster. This is just, well, not maybe a monster, but an animal. He relies on animal instincts. I mean, hell, the idea that he had killed children, I looked at him in the Suicide Squad movie and I thought to myself, oh, well, he probably thought they were food. I never thought he was malicious evil. I figured it's a wild animal. He doesn't know what he's doing.
yeah, he relied on that animal instincts, and that's the good thing about this, and the way James Gunn is bridging that, because it's basically a bridge from his Suicide Squad movie it bridges into Peacekeeper, it bridges into Suicide Squad, it bridges into upcoming projects, and you see that it's dabbling. You're getting little hints and stuff there, because even a little notation that you see here is the butterfly from Peacemaker. Weasel is actually chasing one of them, and if you blink, you miss it, and it's like, interesting.
I did miss that, actually. That's a really good observation.
So now that we've talked about characters, I think we should talk about what this show's actually about after we spent 45 minutes on characters.
Definitely. So we have our characters who are responding to a threat in the fictional country of Pakistan. I have no idea if this actually... Hang on. Does Pakistan... I should actually look this up. Pakistan is a nation which occupies the site of former Madora. It was previously ruled by General Zod. Appears in the animated movie Superman vs. the Elite, where it is at war with the neighboring Bialia. Also features a creature Commandos. Okay, so this has appeared in some DC properties before.
And if you have a keen eye, it is also the country in the upcoming Superman movie.
Wow, you're putting me to shame. I'm usually the one that walks in with all the Easter eggs.
Yes,
bravo.
You see it. It is that is the country being attacked in the new Superman movie.
Well, considering that this movie or the show ends with their leader being assassinated, there's probably a war going on with the power vacuum.
Yep.
But yeah, so apparently the princess is under a threat from Cersei, who has appeared in various properties before with the DC. She is DC Universe. She's an enemy of the Amazons and Wonder Woman. Although in the first episode they mention the myth of Themyscira, so I don't think Wonder Woman has really shown herself yet.
No, I don't think that we're going to get the. I think that he done that deliberately, so he doesn't pigeonhole himself into having to push out a Wonder Woman movie and get a Wonder Woman in the new DCU anytime soon, and we can kind of let the Gal Gadot Wonder Woman just kind of fade away from everybody's memory.
I'm fine with that. But yeah, so Task Force M is assembled and they head out there along with your favorite character, Eric Frankenstein, following along because the dude cannot read the room.
Oh, he's in love with his bride.
Oh, that's love. That's what you call it.
That is in his eyes. In his eyes, they were made for each other. But
Hang on a second. Where's the damn? There we
you
go.
have to admit that was a pretty good one.
Yeah, pretty much. So they head out there to stop Cersei. And when they do, Cersei basically says, "You fools, you've doomed the world." And they're suddenly going, okay, now what's going on? They bring Cersei back. And she gives Amanda Waller a vision that says that the world is going to end and it's going to be the princess's fault. She's basically, she's going to, Pakistan, it looks like, has some pretty significant technological defenses. They've got a elite troop called the Amethyst Knights. I guess Pakistan's big on purple. And they have some like Iron Man-esque suits of armor.
Yeah, it looks like mech suits for sure.
Mm-hmm. So Amanda Waller says, "Oh shit, we doomed the world. You guys got to go back and kill the princess." But of course, by this point, she has seduced Rick Flag, and he's like, "No, you're wrong. You're wrong." And we also, this admittedly got a little convoluted and a bit confusing for me, because then we find out that the professor who convinced Waller that Cersei was telling the truth was Clayface in disguise.
Yeah, and you can't get. And that was probably one of the best parts of that. Him looking at her and screaming lesbians, and doing jazz hands while screaming lesbians, and then having them, Rick Flag Sr. and Eric, outside the window, and all the students look at him. And Eric just turns around, looks at him, and goes, "Oh, I dropped my contact. Where is it?" It's like, you're a 7-foot monster, and you're looking for a contact. And the kids are like, "Meh, okay," and they just go on about their business like nothing. And it just how they portrayed that is comedic, but it also gives a thing in there. Now, you said it was convoluted. Well, what happens was, and I did the research and got the timeline down because I'm a nerd, and I wanted to be well prepared.
Hey, we need that nerdiness. Please continue with the nerdiness.
When the professor initially gives the read, it is actually the professor. Then, soon after that, is when Clayface kills her and assumes her identity. And that brief time period, it's like an 8-hour time period from when. Because Waller brings her in and was like, "Can we trust her?" And she's like, "Yeah, you should go in there." And then she leaves. That's the last time you actually see the professor. When you see her again, it is actually Clayface.
Well, we know that the princess hired Clayface to kill the princess hired Clayface to kill the professor. But if she didn't want Clayface to convince Amanda Waller to trust Cersei, then, because I assumed
it was a win-win situation regardless for the princess. Either she was going to lose her life and cause the war, or the war was going to be caused. She had another way the war was. If she lived, she was going to actually cause the war, for have a way to cause the war. But she also set herself up as a mortar to cause the war as well. So either way, she had it set up where the war was going to happen.
Because we do see in the end scene in her in the princess's study, she has a holographic globe, and you could see various locations marked out on it. And we unfortunately cannot get a close enough look at where those locations are, especially since the globe is spinning, so you can't get a good look at it. But I am curious how many, if we had actually looked up, like how many of those fans would recognize as, the spots where so many of our superheroes like to hang out.
Okay, well, we don't have to do that. You can go over to YouTube, go to look up Eric Voss on New Rockstar, who does a complete series breakdown, and he actually discusses that. The maps, the pinpoints on the maps. Told you, I did research.
I'm impressed because I couldn't get a good look at the map. Well, again, it's a globe, it's holographic, so it's see-through and it's spinning. I couldn't get a good look at where those locations were pointing at.
Well,
and
I mean,
admittedly,
New
I'm
Rockstar
still
has a little bit better budget and resources than what we here at the RIB have.
Budget? What budget?
Yeah. Budget, that's a store.
Yeah, no kidding. Admittedly, also, when it comes to world building, I think I know more about Marvel locations than DC. I mean, let me put it this way. I'm the one that paused in Winter Soldier when they start showing all of the locations that they're going to start firing on. And I'm the one going, okay, where else? And just trying to pinpoint all of the ones that I recognize. I was on a high alert ever since they name dropped Stephen Strange in that movie.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
So, like I said, I guess I thought it was just a little confusing why they felt the need to kill the professor if she agreed with Cersei. I just didn't understand why they felt that Clayface had to keep up the facade if she was already on their side.
Well, Cersei was on the princess's side too.
Mm-hmm.
So she was showing this tragic downfall to eliminate, because Cersei wanted to take over the country. That's why she's trying to kill the princess, because she wants to seize the power. So,
now, are you sure about that? I thought Cersei was actually trying to prevent World War III. She does say the line, not even the devil wants to see the world burn.
Yeah, because she's trying to seize the power.
Mm-hmm.
That's her whole reason, because that's why she goes after the bride at first, because the bride's there to protect the princess. Then once she gets caught, because she can manipulate, so if the princess is eliminated, she can seize the power.
Okay. Well, either way, it is found out at the end that, Princess was setting everyone up. She wanted to start World War III, and she was relying on everyone to play their part. She was just watching them all like a chessboard.
Yeah, and it's set up earlier that she has the head of her private security telling the Commandos, and the bride actually notices this, and it shows, and when you get through everything, it shows the intelligence of the bride that we haven't seen either, because the bride is sitting there going through all the books and everything, and just sitting there talking to her. And right after, and the composure level is, until you see her say, "Till you killed my only friend," the composure that the bride upheld is something to be, the writing is to be commended on, because she's just casual conversation, and then she just shoots her, blows her head out. Mm-hmm. And this is you see some of the most graphic animation deaths and dismemberment that I've seen in quite some time, and it's done tastefully.
Absolutely. I think Dr. Phosphorus gets some of the best kills in this show, though. I love when he takes out the one guard by just basically kind of melting his head. It's basically like he just kind of pushes his head off with this radiation, and he goes, "Damn!" And I like that guy.
I don't know. The bride ripping old boy's heart out Kano style from Mortal Kombat.
Oh yeah, that was good.
That was pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's like I bet you didn't expect this to be how you ended your day.
Yeah, I mean, and it goes back, to we're right at about an hour.
Mhm.
It goes back to where the gods and monsters come in. We know the gods exist. The gods are superheroes, and the
Mhm.
monsters are subjective. We view, like you said, we view Weasel as a monster. Nina was viewed as a monster. Even Eric is not the greatest human and the greatest person in this, but he is a necessity of this show. He brought a lot of comic relief, but he also brought a lot of the opposite of the good. He showed the dark side of the monsters because he killed, he saved by the little old lady. He crushes her head, and then he's taken in by another lady that he's going to end up killing. And he's a killing machine to get what he wants, and that's to be with the bride. And he can work with you to achieve his goal, or you're either with him or you're against him.
Mhm.
But his ultimate goal is he will go through you if he needs to get his goal. He's a lot like Amanda Waller, with a lot more bulk and
Denial.
endurance. Yeah, and
A lot more denial.
and you see that in the fact that he is, like I said, me and you come through a lot of horror movies and stuff. He is the ultimate killing machine. He's basically Jason Voorhees. He's basically Michael Myers. The indestructible force going after a target, and he can't be killed. He can be maimed, but he's going to heal and come back. And that's what you need. That is what people see as a monster, and what people think really is monsters. In reality, it's perception is what defines a monster.
Definitely. So I figured we were going to keep this episode short. Again, there's only 7 episodes, and I do highly recommend checking this out on HBO Max if you got the time. It's a lot of fun. It's creative. It's crazy dark and violent. And I think this is a great way to kick off the DCEU. But my final question is this. Like we said earlier, we know that Rick Flag Sr. is going to show up in the Superman movie. And Gunn has not ruled out the idea. First of all, again, the show has been renewed for season 2. But he has not ruled out that we may see more of these characters pop up in the live action movies. James Gunn knows how to work a cameo appearance. He knows how to kind of sprinkle it in. I mean, for God's sakes, this man actually found a way to work in Howard the Duck into the Guardians of the Galaxy.
And Cosmo.
And Cosmo the dog, yeah. Now, we do see at the end, we have a new team who are back at Belle Reve. They've rebuilt GI Robot, who, by the way, I didn't get a chance to say it, but GI Robot's killing scene to the Dresden Dolls coin-operated boy is actually my favorite moment in this show.
He was fun because everybody was a Nazi.
I love Sean Gunn, who voices him. I love how much he gets used in his brother's projects because I mean, you could always say like, "Oh God, he's playing favorites," nepotism again. But Sean Gunn brings a lot of fun to every role he has played.
Yeah.
I loved him as Kraglin. I loved even his little brief moment in the previous Suicide Squad movie as Calendar Man. I thought was hilarious. But But yeah, that scene of him just going, it's like, those guys shooting at us, they're Nazis. Cutting that between the scene of him going after the neo-Nazis. Because he makes friends with this old man, and the old man brings him in, and he's like, you should come to my social club meeting. And yeah, they're freaking skinheads. And I just love the role. It's like, Nazis. And he doesn't even care just how Fred's is like, oh, Nazis, gotta kill.
Yeah, that's his main objective.
Oh, like I
Go
said, just
Nazis.
the fact that then again he starts playing that to a Dresden Doll song. I'm sitting on the couch and I'm just laughing. I got tears coming down my face. I love that scene so much. But so we rebuild GI Phosphorus, and we have Nosferatu and Kalis, two lower level members who have shown up as parts of the Creature Commandos in the comics, and the return of King Shark, who sadly
Playing
is
with his
not
blocks.
voiced by Sylvester Stallone in this one moment. It's Dietrich Bader voiced him, but I'm not going to insult Dietrich Bader. That man is a god of voice acting, so you know.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm curious of what we're going to see going forward.
My question
And
though
how
is,
everything is going to play out.
what characters that we have seen before who are still alive would you like to see show up in future DC projects, even if it's just little live action cameos?
Bring a Boomerang, man. Captain Boomerang. Give me Captain Boomerang. Give me Frost.
Well, I meant the characters that we see on Creature Commandos.
I definitely want to see. I definitely want to see King Shark. King Shark. I want more King Shark. More King Shark does nothing but good. And I want to see cameos brought in to some of the other properties to kind of tie everything. You know, you get it's like a Peacemaker cameo in the background.
With John Cena voicing it, of course.
Yeah, I mean, well, you don't even have to voice it. You can just have like the cameo. You can just have him in the background, not necessarily, but just kind of tying it into things. Because you did have a lot of the. I want Amanda Waller's daughter to show up, in some capacity to be kind of a antagonist toward her mother, to follow up on what happened in Peacemaker. But yeah, King Shark. King Shark is who I want. I want to see him bring in. I would love to see them bring in, which I know it's not possible because he's dead. Was Polka Dot Man. I think that would have been a really nice thing to see if they didn't kill him off.
I will say this. Again, we don't know a lot about the future projects going ahead for the DCEU, other than what we've got for Superman, because we've got the teaser trailer released. We know that they've started production on the Supergirl movie. And we know we're getting the Clayface movie from Mike Flanagan, which, again, that is going to be very interesting.
If it doesn't set in production hell, yeah, I think it's going to be really good.
No kidding. Especially since I heard Flanagan's actually going to do a miniseries for Netflix based around Carrie.
I haven't seen that.
Well, it's coming. That's supposed to be his next project.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard anything on it. I haven't seen anything on it, so that's really interesting.
Yeah, well, when that does come out, we'll definitely be doing that for our Unholy Trinity review. So I had this idea that if we get to see any of the series take place in the past, I would love to have a shot of Eric and the bride chasing each other. Because again, we know that he's chased her for centuries. I would just love to see a little hint of something going on in the past, if any of the movies do something like that.
Well, you could. Yeah, in the movies, yeah, you could do that in the movies. But I mean, you would have to actually try to shoehorn them in. But there wouldn't be trying to find a property to put them in would be kind of hard to team her up with somebody to, which really, I mean, if they could do. I would like to see, and you could do this on like HBO or a Netflix. You could do it with some of the lower level characters tied in Creature Commando, because it wouldn't need a big budget. Is to do a series on Arkham and Belfry, because I mean you got a low level Rose Gallery for Batman that you have access to,
Oh yeah.
and you could do it as you could even do it as putting introducing Crane into that,
That could be
and
good.
how that they get from just kind of do it like they did in Batman Begins, have him basically being the psychiatrist and everything, and you could even do it their doctor. You could even introduce Hugo Strange,
Hmm.
and just have like their and have them doing these experiments, and then the experiments end up in Belfry, and then that gives you a plethora of a playground to work with
Hmm.
rogues and stuff.
That could
Tap
be
into some
good.
resources.
You know
I
what?
think that would be an awesome series, like an Arkham series, because you wouldn't have to do Harley. You could do Harley Quinzel. You could do that kind of like they did with Gotham. You did pretty much an entire Rogues Gallery without Batman.
That's true. I mean, hell, I'd just be happy if I saw somebody had a news clipping from the 90s that says like Monsters Crash Gogol Bordello concert or something
Yeah,
like that. Even if
yeah,
I
like
see
some
that, I'll
callback.
be happy.
Yeah, that would be nice. Or just like like you said, just plant like little things in there, like monster scene, havoc at concert, monster scene. Just have a picture like on a front page Daily Bugle
Mm-hmm.
or Daily Planet.
Like, well, then, I mean, let's face it, we need more David Harbour playing Eric Frankenstein. He really is fantastic in that role. I can't think of anyone else who could say softest lips carved from the intestines of fetal pigs and actually make it sound romantic.
Yeah, but yeah. Anything else we need to cover on this, or?
And that's all my notes. Like I said, I knew we weren't going to go for too long, especially since it was just the two of us. Did you have anything else you wanted to talk about from the show?
No, I mean, I'm just curious what direction we're going to go in with, especially with the new lineup,
Hmm.
and how it ties into the bigger universe. I think this is a great, like I said, sometimes you don't need a tent pole to launch a universe. Sometimes you just like tiptoe into something and get the big grandiose thing down the line to build up to, and streaming is a good way to do that. And I think the way that Gunn did this, like I said, bridging it and giving little cameos and call outs to other things that's in the universe, I think was the right thing to do.
Yeah, again, we've got a lot of new projects coming down the way from the DCEU. Again, Creature Commandos has been greenlit for season 2. Hell, we could see a crossover between it and the season 2 of Peacemaker. That could be fun.
That would be real fun. Having having them. You could even have them opposing each other.
Hmm.
And I would love to see Peacemaker and Eric square off against each other. I think that would make a good action sequence.
That would be a great action sequence. I would love that.
Mainly because just the dialogue that could go into that would be just so fun and entertaining, just to see them like riffing on each other.
That'd be hilarious. But yeah, so as soon as we hear announcements on when season 2 premieres or what the plan is or anything, we'll obviously be bringing that up. In the meantime, like I said, if you haven't seen Creature Commandos yet, go check it out. It's awesome. It's fun. It's gory. It's hilarious. It's over the top. It's James Gunn. And frankly, I think we're in good hands with the DCEU if this is what he's going to give us.
Yeah, I think this gives us a prelude to what to expect, what to set up, and where the DCEU is going, and the expectations being tempered a little bit before Superman comes out.
Yeah. Not to mention giving us one more awesome soundtrack, because I know Gunn's admitted Superman is going to be score based, not soundtrack based.
Right.
which I think is the smart move. I don't think we need to hear Gogol Bordello playing while Superman's flying, as badass as that would be.
I don't know, but I think it would be kind of funny. Or you know what? I've got an idea for season 2.
All
You
ears.
could set it up, and you could have Bizarro end up as the antagonist.
Ooh, I do
Creature
love
Commander
Bizarro.
2. Have Bizarro that and Amanda Waller basically sending them after Bizarro so Superman doesn't get tarnished. I think that would be real fun. Because
I could get behind that.
You could do the whole Eric Bizarro matchup, 2 super heavyweights.
Mm-hmm.
You would have the Bride. You could even do it as the Bizarro is pursuing the Bride like Eric, and that you could just do like a subplot of Bizarro and Eric facing off for the love of the Bride. It's just like a subplot, and I think that would be fun.
I could definitely get behind that. I would love that. All right. Well, I think that wraps it up for us tonight. Jayson, where can our listeners / viewers find you?
Actually, I think I'm back here this coming Tuesday. Let me check my schedule. The 21st. No, it is the 20th. I'll be back here for Damn You Hollywood Wolfman. And then starting at the end of the month, me and Mark Radlich do our annual Black History Month. Lovely times.
I was going to say, because who better to talk about Black History
Black
than
History
you
than
and two middle-aged white guys.
2 middle-aged white guys, one from West Virginia.
And the other one from Florida.
Yeah, we got Florida Man and Jessica White. We're kicking it off on Thursday, January 30th with the Wiz Dream Girls and Purple Rain. So that's going to be very interesting. Things I do for this network, but we follow it up with something a little bit better on the 6th. We do Wildcats Draft Day and any given Sunday. How that ties into Black History, I don't know. I think it ties in more to the Super Bowl on the 9th. But
you are our go-to sports guy.
I try to be. But yeah, tune in here Monday to catch me again when we review Damn You Hollywood on the Wolfman, and then to catch me at the end of the month when me and Mark kick off Black History Month with the Wiz Dream Girls and Purple Rain.
Well, I'll be joining you actually to discuss Wolfman, because I'll be damned if I'm getting turned away from a Leigh Whannell project. I love that man's movies.
That looks really good.
Mm-hmm.
I've kind of stayed away from a lot of stuff till this week. So I just watched the trailer for the first time this week. So I'm really, really amped up for it to go watch it Saturday morning.
I loved what he did with the Invisible Man, so I'm very excited what he's going to bring for the Wolfman. I will actually be back the night after that on the 21st. I'm going to be leading a TV party tonight talking about Skeleton Crew, the latest Star Wars series from Disney+. I just only pray I can control that better than the review for The Acolyte, because that was a hell I don't want to relive.
Good luck. I would. It's probably going to be like monkeys fucking a football.
I swear to God, if someone brings another freaking lightsaber on the show and tries to explain how they work, I'm cutting them off right away.
Just end the show. Just end the show right there.
That was the problem with The Acolyte. I mean, first of all, that show was horrible, but I lost control to 4 Star Wars nerds who couldn't stop talking lore, and I'm like, oh my God, what have I done? And I couldn't get control.
If you ever want to hear a funny story, ask Ronnie Adams about the night I fell asleep during a conversation. We was covering a Carnage comic, and him and Adam Murray started talking Star Wars. I fell asleep for 30 minutes. Woke up, they were still talking Star Wars, and I picked up right where I left off.
Oh my God! I love it.
Jesse was on that show as well, if I remember. I think we was talking Absolute Carnage. The first run, the introduction of Carnage, and I fell asleep.
I wish I know this. Jesse was on my show last week talking Hell of a Boss. I would have loved to have brought that up.
Yeah. I fell asleep for 30. I'm going to say it was at least 30 minutes.
Oh my!
I was asleep, and I woke up, and they were still talking Star Wars, and I picked up right where I left off talking about Carnage.
Oh shit! That's hilarious.
Oh, it was.
Oh my god!
It was definitely a fun time, but.
But yeah, so next week I'll be joining for Wolfman. I'm going to be leading Skeleton Crew after that. And after that, Mark and I are finally going to start talking about The Bear. This is a show that he and I have wanted to talk about for a while. I've been meaning to get into it, especially as an amateur chef and a big foodie. I've been told a million times that this is like right up my alley. My dad, who is also a big foodie and lives to cook, has been practically badgering me. It's like, why haven't you watched The Bear? Like, because I got a million other things I got to watch for Mark.
It is a very good series. I haven't watched the newest season yet, kind of because I'm getting all over the place with work and everything. And it's a show that me and Amber watch together. And with work schedule.
Did you want me to ask Mark if you can come on to talk The Bear with us?
No, I mean I'm probably booked up unless you can drop a message if once I don't know what day you guys got it scheduled. But like with doing the Black History stuff with Mark, that pretty much takes all my free time in February and the end of this month in February.
All right, fair enough. Now, this has been a busy month for me. I've had a lot of shows I got to binge. I actually haven't started Skeleton Crew yet. I have learned the hard way. I can't binge multiple shows at the same time because they all start to blur together in my head.
I'll tell you another good show that if you want to get on, check out The Pit. It just started. It's on...
It's on HBO Max. That's the new medical drama, right?
Right. It's set in Pittsburgh. It's basically 24 in a hospital. Each episode is 1 hour in the hospital ER.
Okay.
And we just started the first two episodes are on Max now. Next one comes out Thursday. That's really good. And also, I know that you like the psychological thrillers and everything. Check out Found.
Check out what?
Found.
Okay.
Yeah, it's got two seasons on. Basically, what it is this girl was kidnapped when she was young by Zach Morris, and really, it's Mark Paul Gosselaar.
Well, who doesn't want to get kidnapped by Zach Morris?
But it goes through her, and she becomes this private investigator that helps find people due to her trauma.
Interesting.
And it's got a lot of twists and turns that you're like, holy hell, this is. But yeah, it's something right up your alley. I think Winfrey would really enjoy it as well. So I'm going to recommend it to him as well. We're into the second season now. So.
All right, very cool.
4 a.m. comes really early for me, so I'm going to have to hop off here.
All right, then let's go ahead and wrap things up. For Mr. Jayson Teasley, I'm Alexis Hejna. Thank you so much for joining in with us tonight. Be well, be safe. And I'm going to go listen to some Gogol Bordello.
There you go.